hey, come on over. Let's do this thing where you can see YouTube's having an issue, apparently. They say not all videos are posting for some reason. Live video streams are having an issue. So we'll do the recorded version of this here. I'm Dustin Tibbetts, financial advisor with Jazz Wealth. Usually this show is done live, but I'll post it here when I'm done. We cover the stock markets here. We're also playing a game called Guess the Dow. And yeah, so jazzwealth.com/guess the Dow if you want to play along. Also, our class tonight for customers is going to be on nest egg. So we're going to focus on nest egg in there. If you want to go into the dojo, you absolutely can. 8 o'clock tonight Eastern time. This is the class using the action items in nest egg at 8 o'clock Eastern. It'll just pop up, and it'll just be like, hey, we're doing our thing here. I actually show up live there. There'll be some chat features in there for you, and you're welcome to join us there, of course, if you're one of our customers. Every week we do a class. I'm one of those financial advisors that just believes in teaching, right? What do financial advisors do on a daily basis? They should be helping, teaching, working on you getting your dough straight, and so that's something that we like to do here every single week. So we'll cover nest egg for you tonight at 8 o'clock. Also, we're going to start doing a jazz artist of the week instead of just doing a song of the day. So we'll start that next week. But today, your jazz song is by one hell of a bass player. His name is Victor Wooten. He's got a song called It's All Right. It's more of a funk kind of a laid-back thing. But boy, he could play the bass, man. If you ever get a chance, look up him playing Amazing Grace. He plays Amazing Grace on the bass, like, you just blow your mind. I mean, if you have any musical abilities at all, high respect for the guy that can do that there. So we'll start covering a jazz artist of the week next week. But tell me what your favorite jazz songs are that you like out there. Because, the name, jazz, right? So that's that one there. Anyways, let's take a look at the stock market. You got loss of 130 on the Dow today. S&P lost 1366 on the NASDAQ. Wild day. And I'll tell you, it all started last night. You got a clue about volatility last night. I'm going to share this with you. We'll go over to the charts here. This is the S&P. This is the futures market, but I'm going to zoom out to a 5-minute time period. We're going to go over to last night during the debate. The sell-off in the market, look, started right here, right as the debate started, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Look at that, just sold off through the entire debate. And literally the second the debate was over, right here at 11 o'clock, the market started to bounce and recover. Wild ride. Just goes to show the stock market doesn't like the Democrats. I mean, that was just spot on throughout the day. But here's what happened during the day today. We zoom in. You got a stock market here that opened up, started trading a little bit higher, and fell off a cliff. From the hour of 11 o'clock to 11:30, 30 minutes, the stock market fell 1% just like that. A rather rapid sell-off, and it was across the board. There was no news. No news, no nothing. It was just profit taking in the short term. Just goes to show that when that many people have that large of a position and they decide they want to take profits, the bulls take the stairs and the bears take the elevators. I would suggest you get used to that volatility. I actually share a chart with our customers to show volatility around election season in a real simple way, just to kind of show how volatility does pick up, will pick up, and is picking up as we speak. Now, by the end of the day here, a stock market tried to recover almost all of it, and it really depends on where you looked. Let's go back to the daily chart there and zoom out for you. The Russell 2000, it was the first to come roaring back. It roared back the most. It actually closed the day positive. It outperformed the S&P again. The NASDAQ was the one that had the roughest sort of part. NASDAQ's had a great run, so a little bit of a pullback here, not a big deal. But the NASDAQ had the worst day out of the group there. The Dow was also weak on the day, but it was all Russell. You take a look at the Russell and you see that sucker, that pulled back and then all of a sudden finished positive. Really, really cool to watch there, if you happen to be participating in the markets there today. Now, also, volatility perked up. Let me see if I have it on the screen. Volatility actually spiked. We got its best day of the month in terms of volatility. It is the 20th of the month, so that's fair to say. Best day of the month for volatility, and volatility on volatility was at its highest point throughout the month. So if you happen to be trading options on volatility, you saw a perk on volatility, if you know what I'm talking about there. So anyways, rather interesting there. Let's go through the stock market here. In the Dow, your standout performers today: Home Depot hitting new 52-week highs, up 1.3%. Cisco getting a little bit of that earnings recovery bounce, up 1.21%, stands out in the Dow. And then your defensive play, Procter & Gamble gained almost 1% on the day. Looking real good, just a tight, real uptrend there. On the downside, your weakness came from semiconductor. Intel had a sharp down day, 2.5% there. The financials, Goldman Sachs was weak again, giving back all of its gains from yesterday, now back below the 50-day moving average. You notice how a lot of this stuff's chopping around? Short-term traders having a field day out there. If you're really good at it, this is the time where you go and make your money. If you're not good at short-term trading or you're new to active trading and you're struggling right now, normal. The beginners, the newbies out there, this is the kind of market that chops you up. Stay small, have small positions, and have fun with it. Just don't try to be too tough on yourself there. So Goldman Sachs, and then Microsoft pulled back. I believe it was the worst out of the tech names today. FANG, in addition to Microsoft, had the worst day, 1.5% to the downside, a little bit extended in the short term, so it's just kind of chopping around at those highs. In the S&P 500, you've got EFTC. There, I always type this wrong. There it is. E-Trade, big move higher today. 54.73 is where it closed on the day. E-Trade is getting bought by Morgan Stanley. It's the last of the big brokerage deals out there. $13 billion. All in cash, though. That puts the price per share at $58.74. So just pulled back a little bit off of those highs today. The brokerage market is officially consolidated, period. It's just officially consolidated. That's it. You got TD Ameritrade bought out by Schwab. Schwab going zero commissions. E-Trade now getting bought by Morgan Stanley with the idea, and the CEO had a fun way to say this. He said they're attracting all the e-traders that will eventually grow up, get a little bit fatter, lose a little bit of their hair, have more money, and come on over to Morgan Stanley and use some of their wealth management services there. So a $13 billion buyout for E-Trade. That's your best performer in the S&P. Other than that, it was retail. Look around a lot of the retail stocks today. Had a great day. Kohl's up almost 2% on the day. Capri, this is Michael Kors, etc., up 4% on the day. Retail as a whole, the sector, had a strong day, almost back to highs. You had Macy's, right? A little bit of a bounce there. It needs it, really. But Macy's strong. Gap strong, also needs a bounce in there. Tapestry higher on the day. These were some of your leaders in the S&P 500. Really, really strong day overall. Weakness to the downside is going to be Discovery Communications, lost about 1.6% on the day. Intel, again, it's in the S&P, so also weak on the day. You had your gambling stocks were down on the day. Wynn lost 2%. Las Vegas Sands down on the day by 2%, and MGM also, MGM finished up higher on the day, about 0.75%. It's been 15 days since they've been closed over there in Macau. For Wynn, that's a big deal. That's a big portion of their business. And Macau has basically said, look, if you want to open back up, as of midnight tonight, we're going to allow you to open back up. I don't know if these companies are ready. They haven't really reported anything yet. Wynn said maybe by midnight they'd be open, but there's some rules, obviously some mask rules and things like that. But after 15 days being closed, it looks like they're going to be back up into the mix. Shares were still lower on the day. Sector-wise, here you go. You got retail trading at highs. Again, 2% today, with a lot of retail names moving higher. You also had limited brands in the news. We'll get to that in just a second. One of the interesting ones that led the way, Stamps.com. We happen to own this one. Very grateful for the pop today. 65% to the upside. It's a 5% weighting for us in one of our funds, so we're very happy to see this recover. It's been a bit of a struggle lately, to be honest with you. I don't always like to share like winners. I share the ones that are struggling a little bit, but that's great to see that one pop today. You're going to notice that very much so if you're in our mid-cap fund. Stamps.com up 65%. That's going to be on earnings. They beat on earnings. But also in retail, you got Etsy back to the 200-day moving average. Foot Locker standing out with about a 2.7% gain. And Rite Aid higher on the day by 4.3%. Wild after their last earnings announcement. And that's the retail sector. Looking over at REITs, they tried to recover everything that they lost yesterday and almost managed to get that done, up 1.9% today. Home builders, XHB will use, almost hit 52-week highs, up 0.5% on the day, remains right there at highs. Semiconductors remain choppy, although they did recover. Things kind of got back to, gel in there for semiconductors. I'll keep the same comments. That's just a tight, it's a very choppy uptrend overall. So as the uptrend continues, volatility still continues on that one as well. Communication services pulled back today. That's largely going to be Facebook, Netflix, and Google. They make up 45% of this individual sector here. The sector lost 1% on the day as those stocks were a little bit weak. And of course, Viacom sold off today. Viacom missed on earnings by 46 cents. That's a serious miss there. So missed on earnings. Stock was down 17% on the day. The CEO said, it was a transitional quarter since the acquisition there. They're going to work to cut costs and everything. It didn't help. The stock was still lower on the day. So that overall is communication services. We look over at tech. What do you know? Tech was down on the day, 1% lower. There's a broad sell-off across the board there. Intel obviously standing out as one of the weaker ones. We look at the price of gold. Gold added another 0.5% on the day. That is now officially 6 days up and and hitting a 7-year high. So the price of gold continuing to wake up and get things started there. Individual stocks that we've talked about, of course, E-Trade getting the buyout there adds $320 billion in assets for Morgan Stanley. Morgan Stanley obviously has more. They're in the trillions of assets that they have. 5.2 million customers at E-Trade, all moving over to Morgan Stanley now. So that's what happened there. Norwegian Cruise Lines. NCLH, not that. There you go. Norwegian Cruise Lines down 6.75% on the day. They say they're not going to meet their year-end guidance that they had given there, so the stock taking a bit of a hit out of the cruise lines. Cruise lines elsewhere managed to hang in there. Carnival Cruise Lines did okay on the day, a little bit lower. Royal Caribbean only down 1% considering what happened over there, not too bad. Avis Budget, we talked about this yesterday, did gap higher on the day. All because of earnings, right? So a big strong move for them, 16% higher. They said December was their best ever in the U.S. here, so they did really well there, deserved move higher. Zillow also higher by almost exactly the same amount, 16% higher. You're getting that gap higher because of earnings. Zillow lost less than expected, raised guidance going forward. They said more people are using the website to buy and sell the homes using the services that they offer there. Looking good for them. Limited Brands had a wild day today, 3.6% on the day. They sold a 55% stake to Sycamore Partners. I believe the total was $525 million, and the CEO of Limited Brands is stepping down. He said it's just time to hand over the reins and everything. So I think that's going to be a net positive for them in the long run. We'll see. It's not the spin-off that they were hoping for, but it is a little bit of a buyout where someone else is going to get control, Sycamore to be particular. Hormel, this happens to be a small position for us here as well. Bad day for this one, 6% to the downside. They missed on earnings, and they bought Sadler's Smokehouse. I'm not familiar with the brand, but they bought that brand, so a little bit of weakness there because they were the acquirer. And Atlas Worldwide, strong move up off of earnings. They had a one-time charge. Everybody looked past that. They see a lot of growth here in 2020, so shares getting a much-needed bounce. This is about a 1.5% holding for us, so we're happy to see it come up off the lows there. Beat on earnings. Everything looked good there. All right, moving on. Here we go. You got 62.9% of the S&P 500 trading above the 50-day moving average. Basically no change. We were at 62.5 yesterday. Small uptick there. You had 40 new 52-week highs today, those that we did not talk about. You have got Realty Income. This is a REIT stock here. Up 3% on the day. This is earnings related. I briefly poked up to new highs. Didn't close at new highs, though. You had Lowe's in the mix with Home Depot, also hitting 52-week highs, 2.5%. They've got earnings on the 26th of February, so coming up here, we'll hear from them. You had ONEOK. There you go. A little bit of a breakout there. You can kind of see if I put the line there. You got a little bit of a breakout in ONEOK today, up 1% on the day. And another breakout that also hit 52-week highs, Best Buy. So a little bit choppy there, not equal highs and everything, but Best Buy got a little breakout. Other than that, you had a lot of retailers in the mix today as well. Retail was a day for retail. Relative strength across in retail. You got Ross Stores, you got Costco hitting new highs, you got TJ Maxx hitting new highs. All very strong in this retail space. You had 3 new lows on the day. You got Ford again trying to break through the $8 number. It did close above $8, but trying to break down there. Under Armour from their poor earnings announcement. A little bit of buying of the dip going on in Under Armour maybe. And of course Viacom with their earnings naturally breaking to new 52-week lows there as well. All right, virus stats. We gave you the coronavirus stats on Tuesday. Things are looking a little bit better. The number of new cases is down 1.5% per day. This is what analysts are tracking out there. Second day in a row that we're down ticking there, and that number is declining. Japan is the biggest concern because they had, what was it, the Diamond Princess or Princess Diamond cruise over there that had people that were infected. So they have the biggest uptick in new cases over there. They don't need this, by the way. Japan's not doing too well, so they really need that to kind of pick up.
Hey, wait,
as far as,
before you go watch one.
There you go. So they really need things to pick up over there. They can't afford to have these kind of viruses. I believe South Korea reported a few instances as well. But overall, number of new cases globally is slowly declining overall. Going over to Apple, you got Apple down 1% on the day, one of the FANG names that pulled back. The China Global Times overnight reported that they think that their sales are going to drop between 40 and 50% for February and March compared to last year because of this virus, so that hurt the stock just a little bit. And after hours, you've got earnings from Dropbox. Dropbox is, well, it was up higher, currently up about 9% as I'm doing this here, now 10%. So trading out at 2060, right at the 200-day moving average, just a touch above that. Beat on earnings, beat on revenue, average revenue per customer higher, number of paid customers higher by 100,000, 14.3 million. So looking good there. Stock looks like it's going to gap higher on the day tomorrow, which it looks like it could use it, by the way. Did you see the debate last night? I mean, that was entertaining. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever you call yourself. That was entertaining, right? There was some really good comebacks in there. Elizabeth Warren, of course, having a few. A couple others did pretty good there as far as comebacks, and the beating that they put on Michael Bloomberg. That was tough, man. That's like, you know, you think you're going up against Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson had an off night, man. Oh, that was tough to watch. But yesterday, well, we gave you the betting odds on what the predictions were for the Democratic nominee. Bernie Sanders was at 45.7 to win the nomination. He got a slight uptick up to 46%. Michael Bloomberg was at 26.5. He dropped 14 points down to 14%. Mayor Pete got a small uptick to 11.5 from 6.9%. Like I said, those numbers are going to be volatile. You got obviously Nevada caucuses coming up. You've got moving on over to North Carolina and everything. It's going to be volatile for a while. But old Michael Bloomberg, boy, that was tough to watch. That was really tough to watch. I mean, and debates they're heated, they're fun, but boy, that was tough to watch. He was just not ready. Poor guy he wasn't ready. Whether you love him or hate him, we'll just say that was fun to watch. All right, earnings tomorrow. It's a Friday, so there's not going to be a whole lot of them in there. Basically just Deere reporting earnings, not much else out there. You got 3 Fed members speaking and AIZ paying out 63 cents in dividends. That'll pretty much wrap up the week there for tomorrow. Sorry about the delay again, the issue there, but I'll get this thing posted now, and I just appreciate you guys watching. If I helped you in some way, maybe hit the subscribe button. We try to put a lot into this show, and sometimes it doesn't go well. I did get the alert from YouTube, so hopefully that's cleared up by tomorrow, and we'll be back as well. Enjoy. Thanks for watching.
Hey, wait! Before you go watch one of our other great videos, have you had a chance to see our new Fin Tips videos? They focus on one topic at a time, covering investing, personal finance, and anything that can quickly help you with your dough. Best of all, we'll keep it real short, because we know time is money.
Why should you choose Jazz Wealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.